Because I'm embarrassed of growing old, this is as this is as close as I can come to letting my hair down. Because I'm embarrassed of growing old. I could have let my hair down more. I'm embarrassed of growing old because I'm embarrassed of who I am. But I'm not going to let that stop me. Of course I'm embarrassed. My last couple videos I was talking about red peppers. I was talking about red peppers and how on the bottoms they're separated into either 3, 4, or 5. This is one that is separated into both 5 and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What I'm saying is that there are 5 nodes, and the 5th node is separated into 2. See that split there in the 5th node, or wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What? And as I said last time, that's a bit like two arms or 3 arms, 1 arm or 2 arms. Or you could say 2 arms, 2 legs, 4 limbs, 4 limbs, or 5 limbs, or 6 limbs, or 7 limbs, or 8 limbs. And then there's the starfish, which is separated into 5, and which can regrow limbs, except the way in which it is separated into 5 is not as a pentagon, but more like a flattening of an amplituhedron. And of course, this is a This is 11 amplituhedron, which is 44 tetrahedron. Another 44 tetrahedron would complete what I'm assuming is a perfect circle, but I haven't proven it yet mathematically, but I'm working on it. I just started. So this is my first page of math on the amplituhedroplex. I'll have I'll have somewhere between 50 and 80 pages of this to discern whether this sits on a plane. Anyway, one of the mistakes I made was not being able to replace the top. The solution I aimed for last time was making a smaller opening. This time I'm going to make a bigger opening. But first I'm going to see what sits up. This one sits up. Now this time I'm going bigger instead of smaller. We'll see how it works. A different shape of a smaller one might work better, but I haven't gotten there yet. I haven't achieved success. I wish this red pepper still had a stem like the last one. Then this would be so beautiful. But what's happening right now is that I'm working on the beauty yet to come. There is a bigger beauty in the future that is pulling me toward it. We can call that teleology. We can call that the omega point. I am the alpha and the omega, simultaneously and also separately. What do we seek flowing through time? From the alpha to the omega is our God. The alpha is our inceptor, and the omega is what we race toward, any which way. We race to the omega point any which way. There's no way around it. The fullness of God. The alpha is all of infinity stuffed into nothing. The omega is all of possible, coexistent nothings in one place at the end of all time and times. At the end of all times, to begin the unified time. We are not in a place of unified time. When unified time begins, the heaven of heavens begins being built. Maybe. It's kind of a poetic way of saying it, but I don't mind saying philosophically, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, especially considering like Sartre and Foucault. Fucking dipshit douchebags, but well, they weren't dipshit douchebags. I said similar things when I was a younger man. Like, that's the thing, like Foucault and Sartre, you know, they were big in their day. It's kind of like how people think mathematicians make most of their work in their early 20s. What? The most prolific mathematician of all time is Leonard Euler. During his lifetime, he published 500 books. Posthumously, he has published another 400 books. And he was handicapped, very handicapped. He was handicapped throughout most of his life, and as his life went on, he became more handicapped. And he was the most prolific mathematician in history and the most prolific author in history. L. Ron Hubbard, people are like, oh, he just published anything. He published so many books. He published and he published. There was no editing. L. Ron Hubbard published 60 books. Leonard Euler, in his lifetime, published 500 of the best books on mathematics ever published. So he's a master of mathematics and a master of the word. He's the master of the logos. Leonard Euler is a master of the logos. 500 books while alive. 400 books have been published since he was dead. And there's approximately somewhere between 80 and 100 more books to be published of his yet unpublished journals, writings, transcripts, whatever. So approximately 1,000 books of the most complicated, insightful, relevant mathematics ever. 1,000 books. One man. So. If we can't deal with Euler, like, we're talking about St. Augustine, St. Aquinas, yeah. St. Ignatius, yeah. Of Loyola, yeah. Let's take a break on Aquinas. Let's take a break on Augustine. Let's look a little more closely at Ignatius, who is ridiculed these days. Let's take a closer look. Let's turn away from Francis and look at Ignatius, and then step back from Ignatius and look at what he built. He built two things. The Jesuits as an institution, and the way. The Catholic way. Ignatius himself said, if he had to keep one or the other, the Jesuits or the way that he built, I forget the title of his great work, but I'm having a brain fart, but the great work that Ignatius made, the great writing, the great word that Ignatius built, he preferred to the Catholic order that he built. So when people criticize the Jesuits, Ignatius would have made those same criticisms. Ignatius, who created the Jesuits, would have made the same criticisms that the people today who criticize the Jesuits make. That's pretty fucking good. So I made this top wider so that after I dug things out, it would still sit. But also it's a wider pepper. So I was able to do that. We'll see if it works. I guess I don't have to take all the seeds out. You can't see them anyway. Well, I'll do it just to respect Michelangelo. Michelangelo left no stone unturned. He was a son of a bitch, that old fucking Michelangelo. Supposedly bathed once a month, but I bet there were times when he didn't bathe for a year. I bet. That dirty old... Well, he wasn't a scoundrel. Raphael was a scoundrel and a rogue. A garish rake was that old Raphael. Michelangelo was not a garish rake. But I bet he did have a time or two where he fell to temptation. Now, once again, I'm going to carve the icon at an angle, and on the opposite side, I'm going to carve a venting intake air hole. We'll see how it works. Perfect. I have a candle right here. Fits so much better because it's a bigger bottom. We'll take it. Alright, now we're going to put a hole in this thing just to vent the air so that there's airflow. We'll put 3 little vents around the side. We'll see if it works. It might not work. But it might work spectacularly. We'll make this one a little bigger. Here